pretty big week here in terms of housing news. This past Thursday night, President Biden gave his State of the Union address, and he announced a $5,000 mortgage relief credit and incentives to build more homes.
I saw it live. I saw him drop the mortgage bomb. I didn't know it was coming. I was not aware. I had not heard anything about it prior to the State of the Union. And I was cheering. I was like, all right, good mortgage news. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. They're saying good stuff about mortgages. I'm happy.
I agree, because we've had so many people fighting against housing, right? The Fed with interest rates and, saying we will come after housing and we will continue to do this and that. And they have done it, right? They've driven rates up to 7% where we're sitting now. And Will Skelly will give us the full rate recap when we talk about mortgage applications later in the show. But to have somebody actually come out and advocate for housing and present a plan that makes it a little bit more palatable for those first-time home buyers, I was happy to hear that.
Yeah, kind of a smart move. And I think it's really interesting that it was kind of more like a campaign type speech, a lot of people were saying, rather than your typical State of the Unions are usually kind of more ceremonious. But this had a little bit more of like a campaign rally feel to it. But like if you're a politician, you're saying like, okay, I have an hour speech to give. What are the things that Americans are concerned about? I mean, I've seen State of the Unions in the past where they don't talk about housing at all. And so the fact that it was in the State of the Union prominently featured, I think, is a reflection of what we're talking about every Saturday on Real Estate Radio, which is, Americans are frustrated that housing is expensive and there's not enough homes for everybody that wants one. It's a frustration, and it's a big part of people's budget. We have inflation. So, I would love to see both parties talking about what are we going to do to improve the housing situation for Americans in this country. I agree with you. It's great to see.
And you're right, because, most of the State of the Unions that I've caught or recapped, it's taxes, it's healthcare, right?
Social Security is always in there,
right? And then, maybe housing gets kind of brushed over at the end of a paragraph, but like this really keyed in on it. And I mean, we'll see how this plays out. And we're going to go ahead and finish like recapping this and kind of explain to 94 Niners what he is exactly entailing. And then as new information comes out, we'll keep bringing you that. But here's a brief synopsis of what he had to say about housing. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. Inflation keeps coming down. Mortgage rates will come down as well. And the Fed acknowledges that, but I'm not waiting. So he's basically saying the Fed has had enough chances, or they've teetered on the fence long enough, and now he wants to put something into action here. He wants to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put towards their mortgages when they first buy their home or trade up for a little bit more space. Okay. What we're going to really need to figure out here is, what does that mean? Do you have to buy a home in the next 2 years to be eligible for this? Or has it been anybody who's bought a home in the last 2 or 3 years? So
more details will be nice.
Yeah, details will be interesting.
Yep, we're going to find that out for you guys.
I mean, it'd also be interesting to find out too, is it only available for people that have bought a home recently? I mean, because I'd love to get the tax credit, but I have like a 3% mortgage rate, so I'm like not really the one. I mean, I'd love the $400 a month. Yeah, I'll take it. But
well, he does go on to talk about refinancing later on in this. Yeah, so we're going to go.
But it's the people that have the higher rates, or that are thinking about getting a mortgage at higher rates, that are really, they're the folks that need help. More than people like me.
Yep. Right. And he goes on to say his administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence.
That was interesting. All right, let me translate this into English for the 94 Niners.
There we go.
All right, so what is title insurance? So, and nobody knows what title insurance is, so I'll tell you right now. Title insurance is this one-time fee that you have to pay at closing when you get it. In the state of Connecticut, it's usually the attorney that gets the title insurance for the buyer. There's two parts to the title insurance. There's the portion that covers the lender, which is the bigger, more expensive part. That's mandatory, usually, until now, apparently. And then there's also the owner's portion that you can get to cover yourself, which is optional. Most people usually get it. I usually get it. Attorneys recommend it. So anyways, title insurance protects you in case there's some claim on your property, like a dispute about where the property line is, or maybe there was like a contractor that did work at the house before you bought it, and then they put a lien on your property. So, you probably don't need it. Like you don't need fire insurance unless your house burns down. It's unlikely, but you get it just in case.
Right.
So, and it is not cheap, so, I mean, most of the loans I work on, people are typically paying anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500 for title insurance. So
what are the factors that determine that cost? Is it the
it's
price of the home, or
it's based on
location?
the loan amount?
Just all of the loan amount?
Yeah, it's a percentage of the loan amount, pretty much. Yeah. So if you get a bigger loan, it costs more money.
Got it.
Okay. So when he's saying federally insured mortgages, that just basically means a FHA loan is what it means. So
anything Freddie or Fannie backed?
Fannie or Freddie are conventional loans that would not fall under my understanding. When I heard him say federally insured mortgages, that means FHA loans. I'm pretty 90% sure that's what he's talking about.
Got it. Okay.
So if you're getting an FHA loan, I guess the federal government's going to insure the loan so that you don't need title insurance, and that's going to save you about $1,000. So
at least 1,000 or more.
That's not nothing.
Yeah, he also went on to say, for millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federal financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide.